I've seen a ton of hobby shop owners swear they could get away with a $300 budget hydraulic press, only to end up with a rattling frame, a leaking hose, and a whole lot of wasted time when the machine finally gives out on a critical job. The regret that follows a cheap purchase feels almost inevitable when you're trying to shape, bend, or trim metal on a regular basis. That's why I wanted to see if Baileigh's H-frame press actually lives up to the idea of a smarter, longer-lasting buy. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the hesitation most people have isn't about price alone, it's about the risk of buying a press that can't handle the parts you need to work on, or that will need a major overhaul after a few months. The Baileigh HSP 30M lands in a sweet spot between light-duty garage press and industrial beast. It offers a 30-ton main ram and a 10-ton side ram, both driven by sizable cylinders, and a working width of 27.5 inches, which means you can comfortably fit a sheet of 12-gauge steel or a fairly large tubular piece without having to jig it up on a separate table. For anyone who does a mix of sheet metal forming, pipe bending, or even small-scale forging, that range of capacity is genuinely useful. What makes the H-frame design different from the more common C-frame presses is the way the load is transferred directly through the top and bottom beams. In practice, that translates to a more rigid platform when you're applying full force. I've watched a small machine shop that was using a C-frame with a 20-ton rating try to straighten a warped steel panel. The panel would flex under the ram, and the operator had to realign the piece several times. When they swapped to a Baileigh H-frame of similar tonnage, the panel stayed flat against the die, and the operator completed the job in half the time. That kind of stability isn't just a nice to have, it's a real productivity booster when you're on the clock. Now, who should actually consider spending the roughly $8,000–$9,000 price tag on this unit? If you're running a professional shop that needs to produce consistent bends on medium-sized parts, think automotive brackets, structural steel fabrications, or custom tooling, this press fits right into the workflow. The 9.8-inch stroke on the main ram gives you enough travel to close most standard dies without having to reposition the workpiece. The side ram, with its 7.75-inch stroke, is perfect for lighter operations like forming small tabs or doing quick punch-outs. Even a serious hobbyist who builds things like custom bike frames or metal art installations will find the extra capacity worth the investment, because the press can handle a broader range of projects without constantly worrying about overloading the machine. On the flip side, if you're only planning to do occasional light bending, say, a few sheet metal cuts for home repairs, or you're operating out of a cramped garage with limited floor space, the Baileigh might be overkill. Its footprint is about 5 feet wide and 4 feet deep, plus you need room for the hydraulic power unit and a safe clearance zone around the moving ram. For a true once-a-month user, a smaller, less expensive bench-type press would likely satisfy the need without the extra real estate demand. Talking about practical strengths, the first thing you notice is the hydraulic system. The press comes with a dedicated 220V, single-phase pump that delivers smooth pressure throughout the stroke. In real-world use, that means you're not fighting jerky surges that can damage delicate dies. The 5.74-inch main cylinder feels solid under load, and the hydraulic hoses are reinforced with steel braid, reducing the chance of a burst if you happen to exceed the rated tonnage by a small margin. The side press, while smaller, is still robust enough to handle repetitive tasks without overheating, which is something I've heard other shop owners complain about with lower-priced dual-ram units. Another strength is the ease of die changes. The H-frame has a set of removable side plates and a simple latch system that lets you slide in a new die with just a few bolts. In a busy shop, that can shave minutes off each changeover, and over the course of a day those minutes add up. I've also seen owners mount a simple laser guide on the side of the frame to line up the workpiece, which is a low-cost addition that improves repeatability. There are, however, a few trade-offs you should be aware of before pulling the trigger. The biggest hidden cost is the need for a proper hydraulic fluid maintenance schedule. Because the press uses a relatively high-pressure system, the fluid degrades faster than in a low-tonnage unit. You'll have to check the fluid level and condition every few weeks if the machine sees heavy use, and replace it annually to keep the seals happy. Skipping that step can lead to leaks at the cylinder ports, which is a repair you'll definitely want to avoid. Noise is another practical consideration. The pump runs at a steady hum, but when you're at